Hey guys, welcome back to Marriages Restored in Faith. My name is Ray.
Hi guys, my name is Dora. It is March 12th, 2025, Wednesday, midweek.
Midweek, and we got some strong winds now.
Yes.
So apparently, all of Texas right now is having strong winds and fire danger, hazards, whatever you want to call it. That's what they're doing for the entire state of Texas. We could get involved and we can go on a rabbit trail and talk about weather modifications because, I mean, that is something that is really occurring and people still don't believe it. And if you see all the north or all the east of United States, all the way up north, apparently they're expecting tornadoes to go through all that area. Again, I mean, I don't understand how people still cannot see what is happening.
Yes.
So again, we don't want to go on a rabbit trail. We're going to stick to what we're going to do, and it is our foods making us sick. Yes, this is part 2 of the other one that we had mentioned before. And right now you're seeing things happening where people are actually discussing this, and you see it on the news media. You'll see lawsuits, as we'll mention one here right now that's going on as well. We have quite a bit of content to share with you that I don't think we're going to be able to get through all of it. So I don't know if there will be a part 3 or there'll be just some short videos that we'll make about this. It's just because there is so much information out there and we really have to know how to grow our own food. In fact, can you bring that book? Also, I just remembered about that book that we're going to share that with you. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, and you've got to understand also that the food crisis, yes, it is a crisis because they're changing it constantly. They're adding things. It's just ridiculous of all this new stuff that's coming out. I mean, they want to make fake food, plain and simple. So we have to understand that, yes, we need to get involved into growing our own food, getting a good source of meat from local farmers, you have to do as much as possible because it's going to get worse and worse. And who knows what
And even then, when you're getting it from your local farmers, you need to ask them, are you accepting and being part of the issue of jabbing your animals? Are you putting all this stuff in your animals because you're being told as well? Or are you staying away from that? This is a book that Dora ordered. We're not advertising. We're not promoting it. We're just telling you this is something that we ordered, and it gives you natural remedies on things to do. For instance, detoxing, for pain, for your gut, and so on. It's just something that everybody, I really suggest everybody to start learning and start doing what's best for your family.
Yes, and if you don't have any type of home remedies, you can just start by getting, the recipes off of that book. And it's very easy to find these herbs, especially in your local natural groceries, natural food stores that, have all this stuff, spices and everything, and start building your home remedy medicine cabinet.
Yep. So let's go ahead and get started because, like I said, we do have quite a bit. So if you can give me number 24. This, you know what number 24 is? No, this actually is because I'm looking for the other one also, but I don't see it marked.
Right here.
Oh, well, it's usually marked like that.
Oh.
So actually, number 24 reminds me of Dora. When I saw this, I'm like, this is going to be Dora one of these days because
I'm always with tarps doing covering.
She's always with tarps.
Covering and all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that that could definitely be me under that tarp at any point in time.
I have no idea what she was thinking while that was happening. She was just hoping wind just stop for a second so I can get out of here. So, I mean, if you can give me number 26, we'll start there. And again, as I know, I'm going to keep hitting this on there, but it is our responsibility to really decide: are we going to change our eating habits? Are we going to pay attention, and are we going to start reading the labels that say bioengineering? And they're actually trying to avoid and get away from that. They're trying to make a bill where they don't have to put that mark on there any longer. But as you can see, this is just here recently.
All right, come on, Girl Scouts. This one can't be real. This story may have you rethinking, though, your late night binging right now. A New York woman is suing Girl Scouts for $5 million. She says some of your favorite snacks like Samoas, Thin Mints, Adventurefuls are too dangerous to eat, and not just for your waistline. News Nation Now weekend anchor Anna Koyman joins us with the latest here. Anna, this lawsuit says the cookies aren't just filled with, the minty good stuff, but heavy metals, toxins. Do you know how many sleeves of Samoas I've had in my life? What? Come on. What are the Girl Scouts saying?
I was a Girl Scout. Girl Scouts honor. I know. Well, Girl Scouts of America, Markey says that their famous cookies are indeed safe to eat, but they are being slapped with a class action lawsuit that claims the cookies are chock full of heavy metals, pesticides, and other toxins. The group is citing a study commissioned by Moms Across America. Now, my producer did speak to one of the doctors who wrote the report, which is mentioned in this lawsuit. And Dr. Michelle Perro says, although, yes, it was a small sample size, 100% of the cookies tested had high levels of glyphosate. That's a weed killer, and also toxic metals. Now, this woman is not part of the suit and said the goal of the study was to look at possible contaminants in foods marketed to kids.
Our goal is not lawsuits. We're interested in collaborative efforts with improved government regulatory action and doing the testing.
Well, some in the science community don't give much credence to this study, saying it was that small sample size and also not conducted widespread across the country. Critics are also arguing that it...
Okay, wait a minute. Let's just back it up where they say it was just a small sample. Think about this. It's made in mass production, right? Mm-hmm. It all has the same ingredient in order for it to taste the same and look the same, right?
Right. Which that is a huge, all over the world, anybody that sells a Girl Scout cookies, that is like their pledge that they're all the same. Mm-hmm. From one end to the state to the other end of the country.
Yeah, they all look alike. They all taste the same. Mm-hmm. None of them is going to taste differently. Right. So then they would all have the same ingredients. Mm-hmm. But again, that's how they try to get around that. You gave me number 6. Now I want you to pay attention to the guy that's sitting down. There's a guy sitting down further down, and he actually looks, and you can just see his face. And that probably would have been my face, or probably worse than that. But I don't know what's going on here.
And there's no sound.
There's no sound to this. I don't know what they're thinking. But yeah, that guy in the blue shirt, long sleeve, just watch his reaction as this guy passes by. Yeah, this guy passes by. I don't know what they're thinking. And yeah, if you was to zoom in and stop that, because I did it a couple of times just to see his reaction. You could just see his face says it all. He's probably sitting there wondering, what just came up? And he took pictures like, oh my gosh, I got to show this picture to somebody.
You're like, why am I here?
Yeah, why am I here? What is this that's passing by? And I don't know what people are thinking. This is not fashion. This is not fashion. It's horrible. If you can give me number 5, I just want to share that with you. I know it has nothing to do with eating, but it's just one of those things that you're wondering what is going on. Here's the question also. Video like this, it says, are foods making us sick? It gets very few views. Mm-hmm. Comparative also to talk about Daystar. Because I could put Daystar on here again, and it will get thousands of views. Why? This should be something that we all should be wanting to hear about. Yeah. What is making us sick? What is making, and this is something that's occurring at my job as well. I had a coworker talk about her parents that both of them are sick, and they're not understanding why. Well, let's go ahead and play this.
Injected with poisons and toxins, have us like intentionally injected with poisons and toxins that will create diseases that are known by names that make you think that they are like some kind of entity in and of themselves versus just simply an exposure to a toxin. And then you're running after this impossible maze. And that's the whole thing really that we're helping people step out of. And I really appreciate you being here, Lee.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
There's a couple of really interesting things I think we'll dive into here in a second, but why don't you share some of that?
Well, yeah, I always tell people I used to be a standard orthopedic and spinal surgeon, and now I'm a professional medical rebel. That's my website. Because you can't look at this and not realize we're being had. You know, what you call smoke and mirrors, I've come to believe now, is we're in a matrix. And it's a matrix of lies that are internally consistent, because these things sound good, but in honesty, what they are is, as you just said, we have lots of labels. We went just not too long ago, we went from an ICD-9, that's the diagnostic code book that we use in medicine for the government medicine programs. We had 7,000, I think, diagnoses, or maybe 4,000, and now we have 70,000. So we make it sound in organized medicine that because we can label something, we really understand it. And one of my favorite examples is multiple sclerosis. You know, we claim that, and I'm a spine surgeon. For all my life, I did neurology evaluations. And we'd have somebody come in and they thought that it was their back or their neck. And I'd examine them and see them and think, no, that's not what's going on. Let's get, you know, this may be something else, thinking about multiple sclerosis or MS. So I would get an MRI of the brain and the spinal cord. And it would come back with a reading and I'd look at it too, but it would come back as a reading from the radiologist. Oh, there are plaques in the brain and the spinal cord. And that means MS. So what is MS? They never take it the next step. And what causes it? Well, finally, we have a really good pathologist, Dr. McDonald, down, I think it's in Florida, who actually did very careful sectioning of the brain and spinal cord and found out that 100% of the dead MS patients he had autopsied had parasites in their brain and spinal cord. Some of it was actually grossly visible to the naked eye. So we just accepted, over my whole 45 years in medicine, we accepted that the smart people at the universities were paying attention to this.
Get that? There's a longer video that you can watch. You can look her up. And of course, they try to discredit her. Anybody that's telling you the truth, they try to discredit them by saying they're giving you false information, misinformation, and so on. They're using that word, and people are running and believing that instead of saying, wait a minute, we need to step back and think about it. What is really occurring? What is going on? Just as we mentioned about 2020, that they immediately pushed to put that in your body, and they just wanted everybody to get it. And we were so against it, and we still are. And if you can give me number 12, and you're seeing so many things that are going on out there that have pushed to say that is true, that is doing a lot of effects against kids, and we're going to share that with you here in a second as well. But you just heard her talk about parasites, and there's other ways to get rid of parasites, and that is to detox, and that is something that each and every one else should be doing. But we'll go ahead and play this one since she already has it up. Go ahead.
Drivdahl Smith, DRIVDAHL-SMITH. I am a family physician in Miles City. I have no conflict of interest. I am a volunteer board member of the Montana Medical Freedom Alliance. Gene-based vaccines, or mRNA vaccines, are the most destructive and lethal medical products that have ever been used in human history. I am asking you to support this bill banning gene-based vaccines so that we can halt continued harm, disability, and death of our citizens. Gene-based vaccines include the COVID-19 shots, and there is one other RSV shot that was approved for this past year for older adults. There are ongoing trials for influenza and bird flu, and there are dozens more in development. The COVID shots were rolled out just over 4 years ago under Emergency Use Authorization, or EUA. This has been renewed multiple times. The last renewal was in December of 2024 and extended the EUA until 2029, which also extends the liability protections. Under EUA, the FDA may allow use of unapproved medical products, including experimental products. Further, the regulatory procedures do not apply to the EUA products, which explains why the FDA has not withdrawn these dangerous vaccines. By the end of 2024, there was over 38,000 deaths reported to the VAERS system, with a known underreporting factor of 31 to as much as 100. There are over 3,400 peer-reviewed studies in the medical literature describing injury from these vaccines, including cardiac arrest, myocarditis, blood clots, immune suppression, autoimmune disorders, cancers, neurological disorders, prion-induced disease, pregnancy harms, and miscarriage. Every highly vaccinated country has had a significant increase in all-cause mortality, a decrease in life expectancy, and a decrease in fertility. These vaccines do not prevent disease or transmission. In fact, the more shots one receives, the more likely they are to get COVID. Over a year ago, it was discovered that the COVID shots are contaminated with DNA. This has now been confirmed by multiple labs around the world. The amount exceeds the regulatory limits by as much as 400 times. The presence of this genetic material.
Did you hear that? It exceeds the regulatory of DNA. So in other words, there is DNA in every shot then. Just think about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Increases the risk of cancer in the recipient. And this foreign genetic material has now been found within dividing human cells in a petri dish and in colon cancer biopsies. These mRNA vaccines, like other gene therapy medical products, can be shed to others via blood, body fluids, excrement, and airborne exosomes. Studies have now confirmed that these products are shedding to others and that those exposed via shedding can experience adverse reactions. As you can see, there are no benefits and only the potential for harm. And yet, 23% of Americans continue to receive boosters. The American College of OB-GYN continues to recommend COVID shots to pregnant patients. And the CDC has added the COVID shots to the pediatric vaccine schedule starting at 6 months of age. There have been ever-increasing calls for an immediate ban by professional groups all across the globe. 5 states' attorneys general have filed a suit against Pfizer for misrepresenting the effectiveness of the COVID shots. And just last week, citizens filed a petition with the FDA to remove these products because the DNA contamination was not revealed to the regulators. The drug companies, the regulators, the federal government have failed to act. We all know that the hands of justice move slowly. Time is of the essence. I've spent over half of my medical career in emergency medicine. And during a trauma code, the most important thing is to stop the bleeding. So I'm asking all of you to use common sense and Montana let's get this done attitude. We must ban gene-based vaccines in Montana. My name is Christine Drivda.
There you go. Yes, is it a little late for doctors to be standing up when they should have stood up at the very beginning? Yes. But some of them were conditioned and taught that the medical board and people above that knew better and were there for our best interests. Come to find out, all that people have been taught throughout their lifetime has been a lot of lies.
Yes.
And even us, we are learning that a lot of that we have been taught and shown, and we are to trust that these people that have gone to these schools and studied medicine and studied the body have the best interest for the people. We've all seen that. We've all thought that. And a lot of us are waking up to see that that is not the case, either by ignorance of the doctors, just obeying and listening to what is happening and what they've been taught and going with it, trusting that what they are giving, the medical advice and what they're being given to give to the patients is good, by that ignorance. But then there is some that are not ignorant and are doing it for the money, for the benefit of the money. For us to know which is when you talk to your doctor or you go to and go to the hospital. If all of their diagnosis and everything that they want to do is just medicate you instead of getting to the root of the problem, it's something that each and every one of us is going to have to be responsible to say, okay, do I stick with this doctor or do I also add a naturalist to my doctor and see if we can come to the conclusion of getting to the root of what the problem is? And all of us have to do that is, and it goes back to that book that we're showing you. If you can grab that right quick. If that book, and just show it. If we go back to this to learn that if we can get some natural medicines to start healing our bodies, to start detoxing, at the same time, I'm not saying not to go to the doctor, but what I am saying is, do you want to have, we know some people that are on medication from morning till the time they go to bed.
Yes.
Because the doctor continues to add more medication because it has to fight the other medication.
Right. And again, Ray and I are not doctors. We're not doctors, and we're not promoting or anybody promoting, this book or nothing. We're just showing you that this is what, to get prepared, to be prepared for, anything that you can do for yourself and for your family. It's preparedness. And we have so much information out there. Of course, you have to be careful on what you're reading and what you're going to pick up. But there is a lot of these home remedies that, it's natural stuff that God put out here for us to be able to use it to heal our bodies.
You can give me number 13. Yeah, that reminds me of what Doris just mentioned. Be careful what you're listening to or what you're watching out there on YouTube, because we're watching. I had seen a video on some mechanic stuff, and I was like, why are they doing it like that?
Right.
And I said, see, this is a perfect example of what not to, that we have to be careful what videos we watch and we listen to, because some of these people are just doing things that they shouldn't be doing. But
right.
So as you see on this one, a recent study was done on 300 children with ADHD, where they were each placed on an elimination diet, elimination artificial sweeteners, dyes, gluten, dairy, corn, and soy. After only 3 months, 72% of the children no longer met the criteria for ADHD. Yeah, it's even hard for me to say that word. Again, goes back to our diet.
Yes.
What are we putting in? And anytime somebody says a diet, it's like, that's a bad word. Because how many of us can honestly say that we enjoy a diet?
None. We
don't. But it's a lifestyle would be a better term for it.
There you go.
We're going to have to determine what are we going to put in our bodies. Because you are what you eat. Remember that?
Yes.
Everybody's heard that.
Yes.
You are what you eat.
And we all have the choice, to make those decisions every single time you sit down to eat or anything you pick up to put in your mouth. You're making that choice. We just have to be more conscious about the type of choices that we are making.
You give me number 14. Now, this happened, I forgot, I think it was in Oklahoma. We'll see here in a second. It tells you where it happened. And again, this is one of those that we have to be cautious when we're out there, because I don't know what this person was thinking. We know it's not right what he was thinking in the first place, but this has to be pure evil. For him to be driving around like this, doing this in the highway is something else. I guess there's music, so we can't. There's no sound.
No.
Actually, Daytona Beach. So as you see this guy, he is actually firing a gun while he's doing that. Well, when you get to learn that and do some more research on this, I mean, this guy was actually arrested for doing this, firing his firearm out the window, just shooting at traffic. This is just crazy. This is one of those things that the Bible clearly states that it's going to get worse. It's going to get, people like this are just downright evil. This is just evil. Because you can't tell me that common sense doesn't tell you you're not going to kill somebody.
Right. And then bullets got to go somewhere.
Yes. If you can give me number 18 then. Again, we're talking about the body, what goes inside the body. And on this one, it's actually talking about being airborne. Actually, this was mentioned during 2021, I believe. Some doctor had mentioned, I think it was Dr. Mercola had mentioned, that will be going airborne pretty soon, if not already being done. Right.
When you've been assigned to that weird feeling, when you've been assigned to vaccinate the population of an entire country, but there are some people who just will not get down with the program. People who, no matter what you say, what you do, or what incentive you put out there, just refuse to take the vaccine. Here in America, this represents somewhere between 19 to about 30% of the population, depending on how you do the numbers. And so, wouldn't it be nice if there was some way that the government could disseminate the vaccine quietly in a way that people wouldn't even realize that they were getting vaccinated? That way, you can achieve your goal with minimal resistance. Well, if that's what you were thinking, you're in luck, because scientists over at Yale University have just taken a giant step towards making such a thing reality. This paper right here that you can see up on your screen was published just 2 weeks ago by researchers over at Yale University. The paper is titled "Polymer Nanoparticles Deliver mRNA to the Lung for Mucosal Vaccination." And what these researchers over at Yale were able to achieve is to develop a new airborne method of delivery for mRNA vaccines. They were able to vaccinate these mice using 2 doses administered through the nose of a vaccine which contained nanoparticles carrying the mRNA COVID vaccine. These mice were vaccinated without a single injection. And according to the researchers, this experiment showed that this new method of delivery was quote unquote safe and effective, and they are now planning to test it in humans. If this technology were to develop further, well, you can just imagine the compliance factor, because you might get a lot of people taking the vaccine if you make it a prerequisite for them to keep their jobs. But you will get 100% total compliance across the board if the vaccine is delivered through the air, since at the end of the day, every single person needs to breathe. Now, already I can hear the quote-unquote fact checkers dutifully typing away their critique of this episode by saying that the government has absolutely no plans to vaccinate the population through the air. That is just a conspiracy theory. And technically, they are correct. There are currently no plans in the books to somehow secretly vaccinate Americans through the use of aerosol mRNA-based vaccines. However, there are 2 very important things worth mentioning. The first is that there has long been a strain of thought among so-called biotechnologists that it's the moral thing to do to enhance people's biology in a covert way, since they might not agree to it. The second point is that this wouldn't even be the first time that the US federal government secretly administered biological agents through the air. For instance, back in the 1950s, in order to run a simulation of a biological attack, the US Navy conducted something known as Operation Sea Spray. This was when they used airplanes to fly over the city of San Francisco and spray the population with large quantities of a bacteria known as Serratia marcescens. Now, at the time that the experiment was conducted, that particular bacteria was, according to mainstream science, considered harmless, but it actually wasn't. And as a result of their experiments, many people in San Francisco contracted pneumonia-like illness, with at least one person dying as a result. And Operation Sea Spray was not alone. It was one of several dozen different programs wherein the US government secretly administered some form of biologic material onto its citizens, including the Tuskegee experiments, Operation Big Itch, Operation Dropkick, Operation Mayday, Operation Green Run, Operation Top Hat, the Holmesburg program, and so on and so forth. There are many, many, many examples of these different experiments. As unfortunate as it is to say, the US federal government has somewhat of a history of using covert methods to test what they believe is ultimately for the betterment of society. And so with that in mind, you take another look at the situation that we're currently finding ourselves in. You have a huge swath of the federal government, including the federal health agencies, who would do anything to vaccinate the population, going so far as to, over the past 3 years, literally make people unemployable if they fail to comply. Then you then have these experiments over at Yale University, which are developing a new breed of mRNA vaccines, which can be administered through the air. You then have a strain of thought, of academic thought, being developed among so-called intellectuals, arguing that the administration of these types of quote-unquote moral bioenhancements should be done covertly in order to make them more equitable. And then, of course, you combine all that with the history that the US government already has of using these covert operations, and then it's really not a stretch to imagine that if these aerosol vaccines do develop to the point of being viable at a large enough scale, they could theoretically be deployed without the American citizens being told about them. They would just be deployed for our own good.
Remember all the fog going everywhere?
Mhm.
People were getting sick, wondering what's happening.
They're not waiting to experiment on people. They've already been doing it.
Mhm.
They've been doing it already. They're just letting you know now that it's out there.
All the spraying that's going around the skies. Telling you, I don't know how much more we have to push, that people have to wake up. They have to wake up. We are living in the days that Jesus said that we would be in, that it was going to be some perilous times, and it's just evil. Evil people. And we could go on this, but let me show you another one, and we'll probably kind of close it out here in a second. Yeah, let me give me number 20. Number 20. And then I'll show you I think me and Dora are going to be doing some shorter videos. We'll probably do one tomorrow and one Friday, just some short ones. And we're going to address some things that is actually being pushed right now. For instance, these that I'm pointing out. And as you see right here, just look at this. A 4-year-old, which then gave his father the strength and courage. This right here, I mean, go ahead and scroll up. Okay. We were mother and daughter, then we both transitioned to become father and son. This is where you say, okay, the adult is supposed to know better. The child only learns what the adult teaches them. Children only learn from their parents.
Yes.
Children will learn from others as well. And as you see, this is not the child's decision. This is the parent's decision to do this. Where is Child Protective Services for this?
Right.
This is child abuse. Plain and simple. Now, let me show you a video where this is maybe 21. This is where all of us have to be careful where we're at, what we're doing, and who we're going to come in contact with. Because if you come in contact with somebody like this person, be prepared and be ready to physically protect yourself if you have to. Now, I'm not saying you go and cause the altercation. I'm saying for you to be ready if you have to protect yourself.
Yes. And just the language is very, very bad.
Yeah, there's some language here. So if you got kids that are listening right now and they're not used to hearing this language because you don't talk like this out there, I mean, tell them to cover their ears. I hear this language on a daily basis. Not by Dora.
No.
Dora doesn't talk to me like that, but I hear it on a daily basis.
I don't talk like that, period. Not to you or to anyone.
Oh, what the fuck is she doing? What do you need?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that we were supposed to sit here, especially since you were behind me, so now you want to go ahead? I'm just going to block you, and now you're not going to go anywhere today until I get some. How about it?
Nobody's answering, so how is
Till
this
2
my
o'clock.
fault?
It says till 2 o'clock. Maybe if you roll your goddamn window down, you'd hear it. You got
Okay,
people
so-
up here who don't hear that message because you're busy playing on your fucking phone.
Okay, so what do you have to do here? What do you have to do here if it's open at 2? Why are you here?
Because I'm here to pick something up too.
Okay, so if it don't
I'm here
open
to pick
till
up something
2.
for an elderly family member. I got
Okay,
12
so
kids
if
in
it
the
don't
car. What are you
open,
doing?
if it don't open at 2, then how the hell are you gonna pick up your medicine?
Easy.
Answer me that.
Easy. I'm right in front of that thing. How are you going to get it?
Okay, can you get the fuck off my car? Thank you, sir.
Actually, it's man, but fuck you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Like I said.
Sir? Oh, really? Sir?
Thank you.
Sir? You want to keep saying sir, bitch? You want to keep saying sir, bitch? Piece of shit. Piece of fucking shit. You want to keep saying sir? Are you a Trump voter?
What are you gonna do?
Are you a Trump voter?
No, the
Is that what
fuck
you are?
I'm not.
Oh,
But
really?
what the
'Cause you're
fuck are you
talking
gonna
like
do?
one right
What are you gonna
now. Are you a
do?
MAGA
What are you
bitch?
gonna
You
do?
sound like a MAGA bitch.
But you touching my shit like you own
It
it.
is
Do you
shit.
own it?
It is
Do
shit.
you own it?
It is
Okay,
shit.
but why are you touching my stuff?
I'm not touching
Why are you touching my
I'm
stuff?
not touching anything.
Clearly,
Why
you
are
was
you
just.
talking?
I have you on
This window
camera.
shows till
I have
you're
you.
home. Everybody knows.
Bro, I'm not even playing. I'm not playing. Get the fuck in the car. I am not playing with you.
Oh, you're not playing? What are you going to do?
Bro,
Oh, yeah.
bro. Get the fuck in your car. I'm not fucking playing with you.
Yeah, there was a lot of language there. Now, this is a girl. That's a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about muscle bound or anything, but that's just a big dude.
Yeah.
And would I have called him sir? Yeah, absolutely. You're a guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to change the fact. I'm not playing pretend with you. Pretend is for a 5-year-old. We can play pretend, muscle cars, and play with cars and stuff like that. We can play pretend. But you're a grown man. I'm not playing pretend with you. You're a man. Probably would have been different with me and that dude. But I don't suggest a woman to get out of a vehicle and challenge somebody like that. Especially that's crazy. He's already disturbed in his head. He's already confused. Plain and simple. He's confused. He's listening to different voices that he shouldn't be listening to because he's not a girl. That confrontation should have been went different. If there was nobody behind her, she could have put it in reverse and drove away.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to be in confrontation like that, especially in nowadays. I was showing, I might have that one, but I'll wait for that one on another one. I was showing Dora and Joel a video where there was road rage, and this truck went right next to the vehicle and ended up killing the woman inside the vehicle by shooting. Mm-hmm. I shot about 10 to 15 rounds. Yeah, killed the woman and put the daughter in life support.
Over nothing.
Yeah, over road rage.
Yes.
And road rage is occurring more and more, and we have to ignore these confrontations. Well, I wouldn't say ignore, but avoid as much as we can to avoid these confrontations because we just don't know what the next person is capable of doing. I'm not saying you can't defend yourself. I'm saying we have to try to avoid them as much as we can.
Right.
Me, the training I have, I will still try to avoid these as much as I can. Now, if it's unavoidable, then I'll do what I have to do and handle myself. But and because any of us can get hurt anytime anyway.
Oh, yes.
So you have to avoid it as much as you can and get away from it.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
let me show you one more video, and then let me show you one last video. If you can give me number 25, and we'll end with this one. You can give me number 25. Like I said, we'll do another one tomorrow. We'll do a short one for tomorrow. Or Friday, Thursday or Friday. We're gonna do a short one, or we may do both days, because we have other stuff that we want to share with you that I was putting on this, which I have a list of things. We just can't keep up.
Yeah, and then and he'll probably find more stuff tomorrow. And
Joe makes it sound like I'm just. It's just this stuff. It's just popping everywhere.
Pops up.
Yes. Go ahead. We'll play this one.
What did you do?
Why you guys laughing?
What did you
I
do?
know what I did.
You broke the palm. Look, you got.
When next time you put gas, why you have me doing it? You're the man. You should be doing it.
You're the stubborn one, hard-headed.
Man, what kind of man are you?
I told you I was gonna do it
What kind
later.
of man are you? You should have been doing that.
And
Not
I told
me.
you I was gonna do it
Now look
later.
what happened.
That's your fault. Don't blame me for that.
I blame you.
What did you do?
Play it again.
Why you guys laughing?
What did you
I know
do?
what I did.
You broke the palm. Look, you got.
When next time you put gas, why you have me doing it? You're the man. You should be doing it.
You're the stubborn one, hard-headed.
Man, what kind of man are you?
I told you I was gonna do it
What kind of
later.
man are you? You should have been doing that.
And
Not
I
me.
told you I was gonna do it
Now look
later.
what happened.
That's your fault. Don't blame me for that.
I blame you.
What did you
I think that's even funny.
That makes it funnier because she was blaming. This is your fault for because this happened. No, it's not. That just makes it more funnier that she's blaming him for doing that.
And then whoever's recording is really giggling.
Yeah.
And laughing. It's probably their other daughter that just saw the mom coming up. It's like, oh my gosh.
Probably
look at
saw her
mom.
coming down the street. He's like, I gotta get the phone and record this.
Somebody's got to record this.
I just thought that was really funny. I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, that's your fault. You're supposed to be putting gas. Yeah.
It's like, no, ladies, you drive the car, you put the gas.
Yeah. Well, I try to put gas, especially when we go out of town. I come back in town. I try to fill it up, but I don't drive our vehicles. Dora's the one that drives them, so
Yeah.
I don't know how much gas is in them.
That's right. Well, guys, thank you again for watching. Want to remind you to put on your armor. You can find that in Ephesians 6:10 through 18. Very important to know and to understand how to do that. And there's our other platforms there that you can follow us, share our content as well. And there's our email there if you would like to get a hold of us. We thank you again for joining us. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you on the next video.